Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis a visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, "only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you there. I was just, Hello authors, future authors, book enthusiasts, and anybody who might have stumbled upon this channel. My name is M.A. Kennedy, that's M.A. Kennedy. I am a self-published author, and my premiere historical fiction novel, The Rolling Pin, is getting a facelift, and I will tell you about that in the coming weeks. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified whenever I post. Today's video is the first of 5 videos that will feature influential authors, and you might have guessed who today's special author is. If you haven't, well, it's Edgar Allan Poe. Have you ever been sitting there and thinking to yourself, man, I really wish I could dress like a 17th century dead poet? Me too. So let's do that. Cue the montage. So to put this look together, I used some things I had in my closet and some things I ordered on Etsy. This is a vintage men's charcoal gray vest from Etsy, and this is, I think, a handmade black sash that I ordered on Etsy. This is a pirate shirt, a costume pirate shirt, that I actually wear quite often as a real shirt because who doesn't want to look like a pirate every day of their life? My black jacket that I'm not wearing anymore because it is July is from H&M. It's very old. I don't typically wear it for any reason because it's kind of stretchy and very warm. It's an interesting jacket. But I used this photo of Mr. Poe for a reference. What do you think? Did I nail it? I wanted to do something a little bit fun and outside the box. I would love to do more of these looks. If you have any other influential authors you'd like me to emulate, let me know down below. But before I go, if you've never heard of Edgar Allan Poe before, I just wanted to give you some facts about one of my favorite authors. Edgar Allan Poe was born in Boston in 1809 to David and Eliza Poe. They were actors and they traveled up and down the East Coast looking for work. David wasn't the best dad, and he ended up abandoning Edgar and his sibling, Rosalie, when they were quite young. Eliza took her children to Richmond, Virginia after that, but unfortunately she succumbed to tuberculosis, which was very common for the time period. After the 2 children were orphaned, they were separated and put into foster families. A lot of people think that Allan is Edgar's middle name, but that is not the case. It is actually the surname of his foster family, John and Frances Allan. Edgar had a pretty good relationship with the wife, Frances, but he had a very strained relationship from the beginning with the husband, John. Over the years, this would not get any better, especially after Frances fell victim to the same thing that Edgar's mother had died from, tuberculosis. Edgar would spend much of his life in debt and penniless, and this further strained the relationship with John, as John often had to pay off young Edgar's debts that he accrued through gambling, asking somebody to finish his military service for him, and various other things that cost him money. Eventually, Edgar did get some work as an editor and a critic for a newspaper, but he was a very eccentric guy, and he was a bit harsh when he was criticizing other people's works. If you are familiar with Edgar, you will know that he married his cousin, Virginia Clem, when she was just 17 and he was 27. They actually had to lie on the marriage certificate and say that she was 21 because even at this time period, I guess it was a little taboo to marry a child bride. But for all intents and purposes, they seemed like a happy couple and had a good life together until Virginia came down with tuberculosis. Edgar knew right away that this disease would take her, but she hung on for, I believe, around 5 years before finally passing away. Edgar wrote his famous poem, The Raven, while she was dying from tuberculosis. After publishing The Raven, he became a more well-known author. However, he did not receive a lot of money for this poem. Edgar still spent the rest of his days pretty much penniless until the very end, when he died under suspicious circumstances. He was found outside of a tavern in Baltimore wearing somebody else's clothes, half conscious. He was brought to a hospital and passed away 4 days later. It is thought that he maybe was the victim of a weird sort of voter fraud where they would take somebody, drug them, dress them in various clothing, and bring them to several different polling places to vote for the same person disguised as somebody else. But we'll never really know what happened to Edgar Allan Poe. He is one of my favorite authors because he introduced me to a macabre world, but had such a rich vocabulary that at such a young age, honestly had no clue what half of it meant, but it inspired me to write better. So what I want to propose to you before closing this out is, if you have one of those words that you continuously use in your work, like a comfort word, something like, let's say you keep using the word beautiful. Edgar Allan Poe often searched for synonyms of words to make them sound perfect and melodious, and he was very precise with the wording he chose. Now, I don't want you to write like you were from the 1800s, as that wouldn't be practical today, but you can use this method to find different words to describe the same thing. So instead of saying beautiful several times throughout your novel, you can say radiant, glamorous, pretty, handsome, attractive. There could even be some options that you had never thought of before. Let me know if you try this out and it works for you and if it helps your writing, or if you'd like to see some other sort of influential author, as I had a lot of fun putting this together. As always, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon to get notified whenever I post. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next influential author. Bye.